It's Monday, it's 8 p.m, it's a Monday assessment.
And your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the high times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Evening, everyone, and welcome back to the second instalment of the 25-26 season of the Monday Assessment by the View from the Medway Fancast in partnership with Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Sports Social Podcast Network, and Her Game 2, and sponsored by Wicked Creative, and now the official ticket sponsor of Gillingham Football Club, Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station. So I am absolutely delighted this evening to be joined by Bill Creaton. I'm joined by Ollie Weeks from Weeks Football Finds, and I'm joined by the stalwart, Mystic Meg Warren. So how are we, gentlemen?
Evening, Chris.
We all good?
Yeah, very
Nice
well.
to be back, isn't it?
It's nice, yeah. It's really good, actually. And I see that it's a nice view of your new view from the Rainham end, Phil, instead of your older view where you were pretty much on goal line technology. So, boys, we will. It's nice. It's a nice view, isn't it, up there? It's a really nice view up there. But yeah, we'll jump straight into the views news, boys, and I will hand over straight to Warren.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Blues or the Views news. Before we go on to what's up on the graphic, I'd just like to make an announcement. It's quite an important one as far as I'm concerned. On Saturday, Chris bought me a drink. Now, it's taken him a lifetime, right? I've known him for 50 years, and it's the first time he's bought me a drink. So, well done, Chris. Well done, Chris. I really appreciate it. It was a hot day, and thank you very much. And I took a picture of it.
It was quite funny because I was walking past you, wasn't I? And he was just like, "Oi!" He's like, "You getting the beers in?" And we was queuing up forever, weren't we, mate? And yeah, I got you a beer and I got myself a water, and you looked at me like I was an alien. So
you are an alien. So yeah, that's the main views news. The rest is quite immaterial. So I'd like to go on to the abuse at Accrington, and I wasn't there, so I don't really understand it. Now, Chris, I know you was at Accrington. What did you actually hear?
Just the usual like pantomime stuff, really, for me. It was, the referee's a W. Linesman, you don't know what you're doing. The usual pantomime stuff, and there was a lot of, and the stuff that I got involved in was Scully, you're not such a nice word, but I'll see you next Tuesday. I was involved with that. I think most of the 610 that travelled there were involved in that. I didn't hear anything that was out of place. I didn't hear anything that was anything else than the pantomime villain stuff. I would like to also add, though, that if the things are true, then anything that's racist, anything that's homophobic or derogatory in that way, then I don't condone it at all, mate. To be fair.
Yeah, I agree. So, Phil, what for Joe Comper to come out with such a statement, a bold club statement, what evidence do you think the football club may have, right, about those hurling the aforesaid or attributed
It's a good
abuse?
question, isn't it? You know, we don't know exactly what went on. They haven't exactly been forthcoming. However, we've got form, haven't we? We had a few incidents last season. So by taking this approach now, this early in the season, they're making it very clear they're not going to tolerate anything this season. And fingers crossed, this will be it. We won't have another incident like it at all. But whose word is it they're going on? Has someone texted them? Someone being a grouse, if you like? Or is it coming from the officials themselves? I don't know, and I'm not actually sure it's helpful to speculate on that. I think we're just going to go with the statement and hope for the best.
Yeah, Ollie, it's been creeping into Gillingham Football Club, allegedly, and I do say allegedly because people do say things that are not true. People do get out of their pram a little bit. What do you think? I mean, you're a bit younger than myself, only just a bit, but you are younger than myself. What do you think football needs to do to eradicate the issues surrounding these accusations?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think firstly there has to be the evidence there, and then just harsher punishments. I mean, I think anything with that sort of any of those remarks, like Chris said, should be banned from the club. I think home and away. I think football banning orders, and that should be in place. There is a shock as well to stop people from even thinking twice about doing it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, anyone caught homophobic, racist abuse should be immediately banned, no matter what. But I think we need to be a little bit careful about this sort of stuff, and I think people really got to have some evidence that, or clear evidence that it's happening, and that clear evidence needs to be portrayed to the Gillingham fans to say, this is the person, right? This is what we caught him on camera saying, blah, blah, blah. Not just put out a blind statement and not have any real substance to the allegation. Because all I can hear is we're taking somebody's word. Now, taking somebody's word doesn't mean to say that that person's word's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in situations of football where words have been misheard, misconstrued, and whatever. Now, I grew up during the 70s and 80s where the torrent of abuse of black players was abysmal. Mm-hmm. The abuse of other supporters was abysmal. The violence that went on was at times out of order. But I think football's got back to where it should be. It is more of a family event. I mean, where I sat Saturday, there was loads of kids around me. So I'm having to curb my language. I go to football for a shout out, swear up, and whatever to get rid of the week's frustration. So I think we just need to be a little bit careful of what we're saying and what accusations. And if we're going to come out with a bold club statement, which is correct if it's happened, right? Mm-hmm. It should be. Let's have some evidence. Let's have some substance behind the allegation, not just put it out, because I'm not sure that in all the times I've spent with Gillingham fans over the past 50 years that I've heard anything as bad as what's been alleged. So it's my take on it.
I think you've also got to think, Warren, like that I'm not condoning it in any sense or any kind of way, but you know, got a lot of younger fans now. So you say about 50 years, but you've now got people that are coming to the games that are 20 years old, right? So then maybe they're thinking that they're Stone Island crew and they can be a little bit more abrasive, a bit more this, that, and the other. So maybe that's something we need to look at. Obviously, they watched the Football Factory once and then decided they want to wear Stone Island and they want to be big Hardmen. Maybe I don't know, mate. I mean, for me personally, I call the referee a wanker. Don't get me wrong. I will say that a decision isn't right. I will say this, that, but to go that deep and to be that personal, regardless, if the referee is gay, does it matter? No, it doesn't. It matters what he does on the pitch, and he was absolutely shocking at Accrington. He really was. Not as shocking as the referee was Saturday, but yeah, I just can't. I can't get it. Like ladies come to football, like kids come to football. If you're standing there and making these kind of chants, that's going to live long in their memory, and they may think that it's a good thing to do. Discrimination in any respect for me is not a good stance, mate. And I think we definitely need to kick it in the bud. And then as a club, as you say, we need to actually have context to it, because you can't just put a statement out and go, oh, there was this happened. Well, what happened? Because 90% of the people that were at the ground at the time didn't hear it.
Not one person that I know that went to Accrington, and I know a few people that didn't all sit next to each other, not one person has said to me that they heard anything untoward.
Yeah.
Which is why I can't with a statement that if you're gonna have a statement like that, and you're gonna tar Gillingham fans, who I think travel well in numbers, they support the team, right? Forget the Stone Island stuff. We have got some young lads, and they're pretty good young lads that go to football, right? I don't see them looking for fights or whatever. All I see is them looking for a good drink up, a bit of a sing-song, and a day out, right?
Yeah.
So let's be a little bit careful, right? And I know we've said when it's happened before, but let's get Joe Comper to come out with some specifics on the allegation and what evidence the football club. They haven't got to disclose the evidence, but they can say this is the evidence that we actually have that this happened, because the evidence that I've heard so far is something that's very weak. And I think some people really need to wake up that although someone says something's happened, it's not necessarily the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think that's quite telling as well, mate. Because if you think that someone posted something on another Facebook group, and they said, "Oh yeah, all I said to the linesman is you need to learn how to do your job." The linesman's then reported to the police that they've said something homophobic, and the police turned around and went, "No, you're lying." Right? So there needs to be that hard evidence, that hard context, that hard everything. Right? That person is probably sitting there thinking, "Oh, I didn't do that." But if referees are going to sit there and lie about it, or assistant referees or fourth officials are going to sit there and lie about it, then like what leg do we have to stand on as a club? Because that's still going to be reported to the EFL. That's still going to be reported to everyone else, even if it wasn't said. As you say, and you quite rightly say, we need evidence behind that before anything else can happen.
I agree. For me, just to close the subject off, I will stand by every Gillingham fan that goes to a away game. I will stand by the vast, and I mean vast, majority of Gillingham fans that attend home games that do behave themselves. If there's been one bad egg, then if you're standing next to that person, report it, show them the evidence, give them the evidence, and let's get rid of that out of football. So that's where we go from there. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to Gbode. Now, there's been plenty of speculation in the on social media over the last week, and I can see Ollie quickly writing notes. So I'm going to go to Ollie first, right? Because I'm not going to let you write notes here. Ollie, where's your take on it? I mean, you're probably more into the social media side than myself, who I hardly trawl it now. But what do you think is going to happen with Gbode?
I assume you're referencing the bid that's been put on for him and the transfer speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from his perspective, he'd be silly to go. He's not going to get minutes any higher than he'd get as, he's going to get a decent chunk of games here. He's well liked here by the majority of fans. From a Gillingham perspective and a fan perspective, my personal opinion is that we take anything that comes over 750 for him. That's my opinion. I think that could be reinvested into our squad a little wiser.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. And I'll move on to Phil. Phil, do you think that Gbode at this current time is worth 500k, of which seems to be the main price being bandied around that we've had an offer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's a young lad. He shows immense promise. Okay, there's a few rough edges that need to be sorted out, and we saw plenty of that on the pitch on Saturday. But he's passionate, and he's giving everything he's got. Just needs to be sharpened a little, and he's a gem. He is a gem waiting to be discovered. So, I think it's worth every penny, to be honest.
Okay, so Chris, I'll go on to you. No matter how much money is offered for Joe, do you think we should sell him?
It's a difficult question, mate. I've got to be honest. I think that we should at a decent price, because come May, is his value going to be what it is now? Problem with that is his value between now and May could then rise. He could then become a £2 million player, £1 million player. You never know. I would personally take the money for him now, because we've had this with Bradley Dack before. Like we were gonna sell Bradley Dack at a certain price. We waited a year, and then we didn't get as much from Blackburn as we thought we would get. I really like Joe. I really think that he can come good. I really think that he's going to be like a star of the future, as you could say. But money is money. And we could really do with the money right now to bolster the squad. You think, mate, 500-600 grand, what's been reported, that's a lot of money where you could strengthen 2 or 3 positions. My only issue with that would be how it would be spent. And I'm not getting into it because Tony and James have clearly gone on a tangent over the last 4 days. But for me, if we can get that kind of money for someone so young who's only had, half a good season for us, why would you not take it? He's a good player. He's probably one of our better players now. But yeah, for me, I would 100% cash in and just strengthen the squad in other areas.
Yeah.
Can I just ask though, how many players are we allowed to bring in now? I remember reading last week we could only bring in a couple of under 21s because the squad number's that high.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know the rules on that. Maybe Ollie, do you know the rules on?
I think we're 1 or 2 away. So if we was to sell Gbode, we'd still have 2 or 3 spare. As I said, he's the type of player that gets you off your seat. He's a fantastic player, really fantastic. And similar to Gale, he clearly has that passion that's really difficult to find. I think certainly in younger players as well. The only problem I have with Gbode, and there's no disrespect to him, is that I'm not entirely sure what his position is. And I think that can sometimes be tricky in a squad. And I think we've got 2 or 3 players like that. So like we said, like I just said, my personal opinion is get the money now and reinvest.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, right, on Saturday, Gbode looked like a player that had just come out of the youth team. His first touch at times was awful. His positioning sense was horrendous because the amount of times that Gareth had a go at him for being in the wrong place at the wrong time was unreal. I think he's raw. I like the way he gives passion. I like the way he tries, and I like the way he gives 100%. But I'm still not convinced that he'll score you 10, 15 goals a season. I'm still not convinced that, as Ollie alluded to, what position he's best at, because I've seen him play on the wing but never get a crossing, and I've seen him play at centre forward, and to be honest, Aidan Flint made him look like a 19-year-old kid.
Which is what he is.
Which is what he is. For me, 500k, I'd snap Luton's end off. I really would. And I'd be running as far away as I possibly could with the money. But for Gbode is moving, and is all this transfer talk and speculation, is it doing him any good? Now, we forget in football that these youngsters like Sam Gell, Gbode, right, they are still young kids. Money turns young kids' heads.
Yeah.
Right. I had it with my son in 6th form when he wanted to give up 6th form and go window cleaning. And money turns people's heads. And I think we need to try and have a little perspective about what Gbode's worth. One. And a bit of perspective is, if he does go, would it be the end of the world for Gillingham Football Club? No. As for him being one of the better players, no, I don't think so. Not for me. So that's the final take on Gbode. I hope he stays. I hope he continues his development and turns into a terrific footballer for Gillingham Football Club. I don't think we need to sell him. But if we do, and it's for financial reasons, for financial fair play, pay some of the debt back to the Gallisons that was alluded to in the club's accounts, then that's what we got to do. Because I'd rather us have a solvent club than a club like Morecambe who are going to the wall. So that's my take on it. And I hope that we can move on from where we are. So we go on to the last subject. And I'm just getting my notes up, Ollie.
I know what you've written.
So, thanks to Phil. So, I don't know if anyone knows, Brad was on the BBC, and thanks to Chris for sending me the link to the show. Chris, I'll go to you first, because obviously you was the first one to hear it, and it was before the game on Saturday. What was your take on Brad's conversation?
Very realistic. I think it's refreshing that he's, drawing the lines back a little bit. I think he made a mistake to begin with, and he's learnt from it with the respect of the sleeping giant. It got fans all in a tiz, really, didn't it? I think, for me, it was for him to actually be on radio and double down on what what Shannon and Joe were saying when Gareth Ainsworth was appointed. It's good to hear. I don't think that at Gillingham Football Club we should be aiming for a certain, or we should be being promoted. It's not an entitlement. At the end of the day, you're in League Two. There's 23 other teams that could be there, and I just generally think that it was a really good press conference because he's doubled down on basically what Shannon and Joe were saying. But he thinks that if we can get top half, that's good. It's really alleviated some of the pressure on not only the players but the fans as well that have expectations to go higher. I think that this season generally is about doubling down and looking at it from a perspective where we are there or thereabouts, but not actually getting there. I think it's brilliant, and I think, you know, as you know, Warren, I'm good friends with Brad. I'm good friends with Shannon, and the fact that they're now they learn so fast, it's unreal. Like, it's not about learning about something and then, oh, we messed that up. They are learning, and you have to also think about it where they are new to the game. They now love football, but at the same time, like, it's taken them a long term to realise that it's not that easy to get out of this league. Like, it's really not that easy. So for them to come out and now be the way that they are, rather than going, yeah, we're going to get promoted, and they're now being more realistic, it's refreshing, really, mate.
Yeah. Phil, I'll come to you. Some of the talk was around transfer windows, budgets, and the strategy with what's happened in the past few seasons. What did you think of that conversation?
Well, yeah, Chris has touched on this already. There's been a learning curve for them, you know. I think, though, this whole sleeping giant thing, just to backtrack to that for a moment, we latched on to that because we were desperate at the time. You know, I was trying to think back, you know, we've had 5, 6, 7 years now of this miserable existence where we've been just clinging on to League One status. And now here we are, we're just clinging on to League Two status when the Gallantons came in. Obviously, they made the transfers that they made to get us out of trouble, which was fine. It worked. But, you know, they've spent... They're like that woman who won the pools and said, I'm going to spend. Do you remember her? No, back in the 1960s. So bit of a while ago now. She was broke within about 18 months or so of that pools win, because she did spend. But thankfully, you know, the Gallantons have cut back. Everything, I think, is now pointing in the right direction with the appointment of Gareth Ainsworth and the systems that they're bringing in, the fact that there is actually some stability and continuity. And I know it surprised us with some of the players who were out of contract being re-signed over the summer. We thought there'd be a bigger clear out than there has been. But the bottom line is, you know, Gareth can see something in the club. You can see something in the players. He's brought some of that feel-good factor back. He's very direct, as you know. You've already talked about how he was giving instructions for the touchline, which again feels like a novelty. So, to wind it back to the point, yeah, the transfers have been made. We are where we are. If we get money for Joe, happy days. If we don't, we can carry on the trajectory that we're on, because we've got to remember that Brad is now looking at this as a 2-year project rather than just trying to get success this season.
Yeah. Cheers, Phil. Ollie, I'm going to come to you. Right. Now, I know that you do a lot of EFL stuff over the full EFL. Looking at all the other clubs, where do you think, and take your Gillingham head off, where do you think Brad Gallinson comes up against other chairmen at other Football League clubs?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know if it is relevant. There's more and more American owners coming into football over the past 3 or 4 years. I couldn't tell you in terms of a ranking because I don't know enough of the owners really. But what I've noticed is that drawing on similarity to what Wrexham have experienced, and obviously there's a massive difference in terms of finance there. It's almost as if they're learning the football culture first, and they need supportive people around. Such as the people that I don't know if you've seen the Wrexham documentary, but there's a lot of very supportive football heads there. I can't remember what the gentleman's name is, the chief operating officer. But I think it's really important that they have people like now Gareth Ainsworth, who's been around football for longer periods than maybe Mark Bonner, Clements. I think people like Gareth Ainsworth really help them to take a step back from the football itself, as well, if that makes sense. So to answer your question, I can't answer your question in terms of ranking of other owners. I don't know enough about clubs to give you a fair assessment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Brad's come in. He's had to rejuvenate the business, and
Sure.
the Sleeping Giant was a slogan that we used, and for 2 years it was fantastic because we was actually getting higher attendances. We had more people interested in Gillingham Football Club, more podcasts arrived on the scene. People were talking about a football club now in a positive way rather than a negative way, which was what it was like under Skelly. I think Braz, as Chris alluded to, is or has had quite a steep learning curve about football in this country. And I'll touch on the Wrexham bit. The Wrexham bit, they ploughed millions into that, right? Yeah. But they've earned millions from the Disney and all the other stuff that's gone with it. And I think it's a bit like the Labour Party under Tony Blair. It's going to be boom and bust at Wrexham at some point. But then you look at other owners like the Carlisle owner and the Morecambe owner. I know the Morecambe owner isn't American, but the Carlisle owner is American, and he's managed to take them down 2 divisions in 2 years, and they're now playing National League football. So for me, Brad's a brilliant owner. I think his expectations have had to be lowered. I think the best signing he's ever made has been Gareth Ainsworth. The fact that we're unbeaten under Gareth since he's come in speaks volumes for Gareth's management of this group of players. I'm sure Gareth would like to make changes, but I think the hands are tied a little bit financially with regards to current players' contracts and whatever. And this is why I think they're calling it a 2-year project, that I think we're going to wait till the end of this season, see where we are, and see what we need to move forward for next year, and see what manoeuvrability we've got within the transfer window. So keep going, Brad. I know sometimes things ain't all brilliant, but you still got the supporter base behind you. But keep talking to us, even when we win. But also, it's more important that you speak out when we lose. So that's my message to Brad and Shannon. Let's hear you when we lose more than when we win, because an old bookie I used to work for when I used to do the old boards as a part-time job, when he was winning, he'd go all quiet and sit there, and you wouldn't hear a peep out of him. When he was losing, it was Jack the Lad, top of the morning, and he was a proper loud lad. But I'd rather hear Brad and Shannon when we're losing than when we're winning, to be honest. Yeah, but that's my own opinion. It might not be everyone's opinion, but that's my own opinion. So I'm going to wrap up the Views news, and I'm going to hand you over to Chris, and he can stop me talking.
No, I do just want to touch on that as well, because like everyone seems to be starting a podcast now. Brad and Shannon are here. You have to remember that Gills and Blood has been doing it for like 9 years now. He's gone through a lot with the previous ownership, so he's still there. He's still consistent, win, lose or draw, as we have been like last season and into this season. But he's been there a lot longer than we have. He's also experienced as a podcast a lot more than we have, and he's put a lot more work into it. So I just want to give Matt a shout out on that respect. So we'll just touch on the Saddlers facts then, boys. So Walsall were founded in 1888 through the merger of Walsall Town and Walsall Swifts. The club, nicknamed the Saddlers, reflects the area's history of leather manufacturing. Their record league win came in a 10-0 win on the 4th of March in 1889 against Darwin. So, yeah, we will touch on the lineup. So we had Glenn Morris and goal. We had a back five of Max Clark, Shadowy, Connor Masterson, Andy Smith, and Romeo Hutton. We then had a middle two of Amani Little and Robbie McKenzie with Dak in the 10. And then we then had Joe Gbode and Elliot Nevitt up top. So I will start with Ollie on this one. Sorry.
I got my ready.
It's all right, mate. There we go. I'll start with Ollie on this. And your thoughts on the lineup, mate?
Yeah. So I touched on it before because Walsall lined up themselves in a 3-5-2, and that's formation they adapted towards the end of the last season. And I did think we would go for something similar to this. But what was the difference was that was our lineup out of possession. In possession, Clark tucked in, in my opinion. Smith come out, Hutton went forward. And what I thought that meant was that we had a lot more width on the right-hand side and Hutton in higher areas. And we all know he's a good crosser. Well, he crosses a lot of the ball. And I thought we looked really balanced on that side. The only problem is that with Hutton going out there and Clark tucking in, the left-hand side, when the ball came out to Ogie, he only had literally only one pass, and that was to Clark. And that was so readable. It was a trigger for Walsall's press.
Yeah.
So I felt like in the first half, you know, it was almost as if I didn't even want the ball to come out to Clark. I only wanted to go out there to then shuffle it back out the other way. That's what I picked up from the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and Warren, yourself, mate.
Yeah, I think it's quite a predictable lineup. I don't think the four work too great at Atkinson, so I think Gareth just made a little tweak by bringing Smith back in for a little bit of extra protection. It could have been Smith or Gale that came in because I think Hutton struggles in a 4, whereas Clark is alive in a 4. Whereas when you play a 5, Clark looks totally woefully out of position half the time, and Hutton is our outlet if we want to get the ball wide and get the ball in. Little and McKenzie at this moment in time, and I only say this moment in time because I think there could be changes for tomorrow night's game, and I think players like Ethan Coleman have got a point to prove that they should be in the side. Johnny Williams, and I would imagine that Gbode will come in to the midfield for tomorrow night's game, and I think that all three of them will be desperate to get those 3 places back in the side. And it's their chance to shine.
Glenn Morris joined us. Glenn Morris has joined the chat. Sorry, Warren.
Yeah, so the Gbode and Nevitt up front, it could have been any one of 4, to be honest, or any 2 from 4. It is what it is. We've got good backup players, but we haven't got players that are pressing Little and McKenzie for a start. We haven't got anyone pressing Masterson or Clark for a start. We haven't got anyone to take over from Hutton, so they're basically a shoo-in. And our defensive record speaks for itself that they should be a shoo-in.
Yeah, I think it's good. So, Phil, and Glenn Morris has joined you, clearly. So, Phil.
Yes, I'm so sorry about this. He won't go anywhere until this has some snacks. So, there we go. I've got to say, there's one thing that is foxing me a little at the moment. When the team sheet comes out, they're listing them in the squad order.
Yes.
And it's confused me because I thought that Shad was playing up top when I first saw it.
Would it be? Can I just quickly ask? I'll ask you, Phil. I think that Shad up front would be actually not a bad shout to give a go, maybe, or maybe a little bit deeper.
Really?
Yeah, I think Shad's a big boy, and he's got a shot on him. Warren, come on. Give him a chance. No, I'm joking. Right, anyway, Phil, yeah, your thoughts on the lineup, mate?
I'd be curious to see it. You know, he gives his all, and he was quite rightfully the man of the match on Saturday. And I'm just curious as to what he would be like if he was right up there. At the same time, he knows where he is in the back five, so I'm happy with with him staying down there, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, when I saw the lineup, I actually figured out that the mental gymnastics to figure out who was going to be where. I did wonder, is this our definitive top two?
No, it's not. It's not our definitive top two because you've still got Sam Vokes to come back. We've still, I would like to see a front two of Josh Andrews and Sam Vokes personally. I would also like to possibly see a front two of Josh Andrews and Marcus Wiley, like with Wiley literally running off ahead of him and getting the head downs or something. I do think we've got options there. My problem is the supply to that option. Like where does it come from? Because we've got pretty much the same squad, and we can all sit there and make like, oh really, really, oh yeah, well, we could do this, we could do that. Essentially, apart from Sam Vokes in a full position, we don't have anyone different. We've got Jack Nolan, who seems to be out of the squad. We've got Aaron Rowe that's injured, who is soon to come back, and I really do feel that Aaron Rowe can make a difference because he did when he came back into the squad, like at the back end of last season. But what else do we have that's different? We don't. So we're hanging our hopes on a 35-year-old striker, a 20, I don't know how old he is, 23, 24 in Andrews, who has been injured most of last season. Like where I don't see on the wings where it's coming from, because Gbode, yes, he might have had an improvement in pre-season, but it's pre-season. I can't see that there's any supply to a front line still. There's no pace on the wings. There's no pace in midfield. I can't see where we're going to get goals from, because it's all very well and good buying Seb Palmer Holden, but where's that pace to supply him, Ollie?
Yeah, I've said for quite a while now that what I'd love to see, and I think we really desperately need, is a left-footed left winger. I think where the balance problem is, because at the weekend in possession it was a back four. That's my opinion, and then Hutton provides that width, and it was very similar to what we did Port Vale end of the season. Now, as I said, when Aaron Rowe comes back, and I thought Andrews was brilliant, and I think if he keeps playing like that, he'd be first name. Well, not first name, but certainly in a forward position, one of the first names, if he continues. I think Aaron Rowe to the left would work in terms of balance, because, as I said, when Clark's got the ball, sometimes I feel for him because I think he loses it quite a lot. But when he receives a pass from Ogie, the only place he can go is straight back to him, which is pointless, or inside to midfield. If it's into little, there's nowhere to go then after. And I think having even a front two of maybe Andrews and Rowe, where Rowe drifts out to the left, would give us a lot more balance.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think we should sign, I don't know who there is, but a left-footed left winger. It's difficult to know his names.
It is, Warren, isn't it, mate? And if we knew the answers to the questions, we would be the managers ourselves, mate. So yeah. And Warren, any more thoughts on the lineups, mate, before we move into the game itself?
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm still getting over the fact that you actually think Ogie would be a better player up near the top. I'm sorry.
Was that a joke, Chris?
I don't know. I do think.
I'm sorry. I'm speechless. Honestly, I am speechless, because that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard.
There was the thing of it's a joke in that, but you clearly didn't hear it in your old age.
Oh mate, I'm still shocked. Unfortunately, when you play five at the back, you've got to, right? You can't play wingers, so you're not going to play two wingers with five at the back. Okay, so what I don't like is the number 10 role, and I haven't liked it for a number of seasons. Paul Shaw was good at it, and Bradley was good at it in his first spell at Gillingham, but unfortunately his legs he hasn't got the same legs as he had before. And you look at Saturday, what did he create? Please tell me, what did he create? Now, I'm going to say to you that the 3 best chances that we had were down to Dak because he knew what position to get into, and that's worth a weight in gold because his positioning sense is second to none. But unfortunately, when the play's going on around, right, what part of the game does he influence? I don't get it. I really don't. And I don't get the number 10 role when you're playing as deep as what he did because his legs are gone. And in this day and age, the number 10's got to drop in and help defend when we're under a bit of an attack. But we don't get the ball to him to influence in the game. He doesn't find enough space to have the ball to influence the game. And the majority of his passing was either sideways or backwards. It wasn't, I didn't see any balls from Dak that would have created a chance on Saturday. Now, maybe being a bit unfair, I'll probably have pelters thrown at me, but at this level, right, for me, you play 4-4-2, you have 2 quick wingers, you have strikers who can put the ball in the back of the net. This is fantasy Premier League football. These are League 2 players for a reason, right?
But then
they're not.
I just think
that
the game. I personally think the game is just completely different to that. The nature of how athletic players are now, how fit they are. The game is completely different in terms of its fluidity. All of those players there, that lineup, at some point would have adopted a different position on the pitch. Dak himself was everywhere, and I think he's been given that role and purpose. Now, I completely agree with you. He naturally has lost some of his legs, but I thought he was unreal on Saturday. I was at one stage in the game, I was just watching him, and he commands the ball, and he doesn't receive it.
What was it when you man of the match?
What's that?
No, we're not going into man of the match yet, guys. Come on.
Oh, no, man of the match. He was unreal, but I thought he was fantastic. I think him not receiving the ball is probably a criticism of other players.
I do. Sorry to interject, guys, but I do think that, like, where Daki's played at such a higher level, I do feel that sometimes, like, some of his passing, some of this, he's got that mind where it's going to be in that position. But, and I mean no disrespect to any other player, but I do really feel that they will not read it because Daki's 20 steps ahead of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do feel that. So, anyway,
I don't think we'd have got the goal if he wasn't, to be honest with you. He knew where he needed to be at that moment in time.
Yeah. Which kindly brings us on to the game.
Natural.
So we were just more. We'll move on to the game then, boys, and we go half by half this week because I think not very much happened in the first half. So yeah, Phil, your overall overriding thoughts on the first half itself. I think personally, it was a bit nothing really. Nothing really happened. But yeah, your thoughts, mate.
I think we're all expecting a reaction after last week, and to be fair, I think we did actually have it. It's just that Walsall went for us. Didn't necessarily go for the ball. I think they went for us, and they tried to nullify everything we were doing. So we couldn't actually make the breakthroughs that we wanted to get. Instead, they tried to break us and get us on the floor.
Yeah, and Ollie, we've already touched on it, mate. But first half, bit of a non-event, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was certainly a better watching the first half at Accrington, but I think there's a lot of positives to take in. That the fact that I did still feel that we had a majority of possession in the first half, and I think that's because every time Walsall touched the ball, we was on them, and that I think is a very Gareth Ainsworth style of play, and why I think that's good to build on is because if we have the ball, at least we can then build on from that. I'd be really concerned if we didn't have any of the ball and wasn't seeing any of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Warren, yourself?
Yeah, I I can remember speaking to you at half time over the beer you
Yeah.
bought me, and telling you that
He's
Bradley
not gonna
Dack
live
was
that
the best
down,
player
is
in
he?
the park. And was going to score the winner, and we was definitely going to win the game. And I can remember that most clearly.
I smell bullshit.
No, yeah, mate, it was turgid, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It had all the makings of the last 3 seasons. It was boring. Nothing happened. There was no shots on goal, I don't think, from either side at that point. It was rubbish. And
Yeah.
I know what he keeps going on about how football's played now and how athletic it is, right? To have just 14 shots in a game back in the 70s and 80s, there would have been 35, 36 shots in a game. Now, I know what I know you guys love your football now and whatever, but football was far more exciting back then than it is now, right? I'm not saying that the players were better and technically as good, but at least the football was exciting. That on Saturday, that first half on Saturday, bored the crap out of me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Robots now, isn't it?
Yeah, they are robots. And they've got to... We defend in blocks now, and we do this in blocks, and it's just all too technical. And, I mean, we want to play 5 at the back, but we want to play 2 wingers. That's not going to happen. We want to play wingers, but we're not prepared to concede in other areas and take one out of there and say, no, we're not going to play like that. You've got to have the best team in the division, right? Otherwise, you've got to have pace. As long as you've got pace in the side, you will create things at this level. We haven't got it. Unfortunately, we haven't got it. And Aaron Rowe, as good a player as he is, isn't our saviour, because he's not going to play on the wing in the formation that we play. So, if you're going to play him in the formation that we play, where you play, you're not playing him left back. Absolutely not. Right? Are you going to play him in the Dak role and drop Dak to the bench? Probably not, because Dak's our God-like saviour. So where does he play?
I think he would play well.
Where does he play? Where do we fit in? Do we take a striker off and play Aaron Rowe as someone that wanders around, right? But we're all crying out for 2 up front. I mean, playing 1 up front doesn't work. Unless you're Man United, Man City, Arsenal, unless you've got really good players around them and you've got 2 players that have got real players playing up alongside you in a 3, right? And they basically play as wide midfield players, and they're back and forth like Saka and the like. And I think that's where Man United son and Bruno. You've got to think logically, guys. Right? This side isn't great because there's no pace. We don't do anything quick enough. And first half just showed me how slow we were. Right? Little was trying desperately to find balls going forward, but there's no one there. Gbode was always in the wrong place. Never just chase anything and work his nuts off. But what service do we actually provide him apart from we lump it and hope that he'll chase it? Right.
This is the problem we've had for several seasons.
Yeah,
we've had this problem and it's not been solved. Why hasn't it been solved?
Because we're too rigid in this stupid number 10 position football, right? Because Man City play it, because Arsenal play it, everyone thinks that they should play it. And this is where I blame the FA and Gareth Southgate a little bit. He brought in a DNA to the English game, and all our coaches that go to St George's Park for whatever badge they're taking at the time, this is built into them. This type of football is built into them. And it comes from the Southgate era. And we're expecting to play at League 2 when, let's be honest, we weren't that great at national level.
I think it's
this type of football.
Formations are, for me, they're a reactive thing. And the problem is, if you did go, say, for example, for 4-4-2 and you didn't play that weekend, Walsall would then have 3 central midfielders that would completely overrun Little and Mackenzie. Now, the reason why I think then we've gone for that formation at the weekend is to react to what they're playing. And that is, I'm not giving it as a positive or a negative, because I completely agree with all of your points. I do think we lack serious pace in the side. I don't think the quality of the squad is good enough. But the football is just completely different. There isn't rigid formations. At the weekend, we were 5 at the back, out of possession, in possession of the ball, 4 at the back, and Hutton goes higher. There's your first winger. And then for me, you need another player who can then off left. But the 10 role isn't as definitive as just as a 10 role. It's more of a case of playing 3 midfielders to match up with, who is it that played for Walsall? I can't remember the 3 boys in there. But they would have overrun us otherwise, and then you wouldn't have seen any of the ball anyway. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, Phil, and yourself, mate, on the first half. We've not even gone to the second yet, mate.
Well, I just think as well, the other thing to bear in mind with all this, we're all unhappy. We all know that there's problems. We know that there's lack of pace. We know that we're not making those passes connect. But actually, we're 14 games unbeaten as well. Yeah. And that is an impressive stat. I think Birmingham, I saw something before we came online. It's only us and Birmingham that have gone that unbeaten. Mm-hmm. So we're ahead of everybody else in the 92, which is actually, given everything that's gone on, quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would like to also add that Gareth's been a manager a lot longer than Gareth Southgate was, and brought that instilled into St George's Park. So I would like to just, the first half, it was a non-event. But I think in the second half, Warren, I think we definitely looked a little bit brighter, mate, didn't we?
Yeah, I think a few players up their game second half. But to me, the major difference was bringing on Andrews at half-time for Gbode. Yeah. It made such a big difference. From the first half where we pumped the ball forward and we lost it and lost possession, to the second half where we actually had someone up top who was winning headers, flicking stuff on, and also being able to hold the ball up for long periods. Now, our passing was a lot better. It was a bit crisper in the second half. I thought after we scored, our game management to the end of the game was absolutely superb. And I can't, in all the words of negativity that seemed to fall from my lips, I actually thought that second half, game management was absolutely superb. And every player that played in that last 15, 20 minutes, I praise each and every one of them. I thought Ethan Coleman looked an absolute animal when he came on. And that is the sort of player that will get you out of this division with him playing. And I said that Mackenzie and Little were the shoo-ins. Now, I actually think Ethan Coleman's got a real good chance. Yes, he was injury-ridden last year. He didn't have a pre-season. But I actually thought he looks a beast in midfield. I know he had his new haircut, his skinhead haircut, but he looked hard as nails. And he's the sort of player that I've been asking for, and I didn't realise it was sitting there right under my nose. But Ethan Coleman was fantastic when he came on. Andrews up top was fantastic for the whole 45 minutes. I really want to see Andrews alongside Palmer Holden. I don't think Andrews and Vokes will work because they're similar players. I think it's one or the other. And then it's one or the other from Palmer Holden and Nevitt up top. And then you've probably got Gbode as a wild card sitting on the bench. Should we need some raw energy out there? But no, I've got no problems with the second half. I actually thought we looked a good, hard, solid team. We never looked like conceding. I thought Glenn Morris, and now I'm a big critic of, I'm not a critic of Get Glenn, but I think we should sign a better goalkeeper. Well, his second half performance and how well he commanded the box, I thought was excellent on Saturday. Yeah. So, although he didn't have that many shots to save as such, and nothing that he did was spectacular, I thought that the way he controlled his boxing, and one of the things that I noticed from the first half was that it was far more vocal than at any other time I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the second half because it was the other end to me, but I just thought that second half the players deserved all the plaudits. We deserved to win the game. We should have maybe won 2-0, but I'll take 1-0. Dak was in the right place at the right time. He proved me wrong, and actually, Gareth got it right. So I can shut there.
Yeah, and Phil yourself, mate, with the second half. I don't want to go through the whole second half because we are mindful of time, but I want to get your views on Conor Masterson. Obviously, went down like a sack of spuds with no challenge, which was worrying. The guy that I sit next to on a weekly basis turned around to me and said that's a hamstring. Luckily, he was holding his calf. I say luckily, I don't know how lucky that is for him. But your overall thoughts on Conor going down, and are you pleased that it wasn't a hamstring?
It's just a scary moment when it happened, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, cheers. So yeah, Ollie, I'll come to you, mate, and we'll talk about obviously the replacement that come on, Mr. Sam Gale. Gareth has said that he's not overly worried about Conor's injury, and yeah, we've got a very, very strong replacement in him. So, how worried are you about Conor's injury?
I'm worried about it on a level that Masterson has played really well, I think, in the first couple of games. I don't think it's an area of the pitch that we should be too concerned about if we lose one play, which would be expected across the season. But having Sam Gale coming on what a replacement that is.
Yeah.
We talk about Gbode, and we're talking about Gbode at the moment, and Sam Gale for me is top draw. He's a really, and I think there's his pitch that can be refined a lot easier than like Gbode's.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think about like central defensive role is so much different to Gbode's role on the pitch. So I think for me, if we lost Sam Gale, it would be a lot more detrimental to the squad than it would be if we lost Joe Gbode, personally. I mean that no disrespect to Joe, but I do think that it would be more detrimental if we lost a defender than it would be an attacker, because with the greatest respect intended to the whole team, barring a few, we've not been great going forward anyway for the last few years, but we've always been solid defensively. So, yeah. But anyway, boys, we will just quickly touch on our man of the matches. So I've gone for Shad Ogie. Warren's gone for Amani Little. Ollie's gone for Shad. And Phil's gone for Shad. So I will start with you, Ollie, mate. And we'll just touch on your thoughts and reasons why.
He's just a beast of a defender, isn't he? No one gets past him. He's honestly, it's almost fascinating to watch. Sometimes you think, someone's got past him and he'll come away with a ball, and then he'll stay upright and he'll still have possession with it. I say the only criticism sometimes is he just balloons it off the pitch. But yeah, I thought Saturday that type of match really suited him, and he's so good. I think it's really important that he has a cool head next to him, though. Maybe Masterson going off injured, maybe a bit more of a problem in that sense. Yeah.
So for me, he does make mistakes, left, right, and centre last season and the season before. But I do feel that he played a lot better on Saturday, and there wasn't any mistakes. I rated him. He was my player of the year the season before last. Not last season, but yeah, season before last, he definitely was. And I feel that he's just maybe maturing slightly now. Maybe the mistakes are coming out of his system. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. But then again, when you're playing a back five, if you do make a mistake, you've still got someone there to clear it up. You play a back four, not so much. But yeah, Warren, Amani.
So for me, Amani Little got it just ahead of Shad. We didn't have that much defending to do, but in the first half, I thought Amani was the only player in the Gill side that looked to try and get anything going, get some energy amongst the side, and to try and work the ball. It was always looking for the ball, looking for that pass first half, and he was the only one trying to make things happen and have a little bit of urgency about him. Second half, I thought he did his defensive duties very well. I think that when Mackenzie went into the 10 role and Coleman came in, somehow it just worked a little better, right? Now, I know it might be the Warren anti-Dak show, but it's not anti-Dak. I just think that formation worked, or that midfield worked an awful lot better in that formation with Coleman and Little and Mackenzie playing in the 10 role. I think we looked more dangerous and we looked like we was going to get the ball forward a bit more. People may disagree, people may agree with me, but that's the way I saw it from my position. But it's the fact that Little worked hard for 90 minutes. He was the only player for 90 minutes that looked interested with the energy that he showed. So I gave it to Little. Shav was a close second. He had a really good game. We kept a clean sheet. Did he do anything really spectacular? No, but he did all the right things at the right time. So that's why I went for Little.
There you go, Phil. And on to you, mate, and your reasons for Shad.
Well, Shad quite literally put his body on the line for us on Saturday. Walsall tried to take lumps out of him. He kept going over. He was in. He had it on his head. And he got sent off to the sidelines because just concussion protocol. He gave everything on Saturday, and I'm really proud that he's wearing a Gillingham shirt.
There we go. So we move on to the View 6. Last week it was Crawley and Newport. We were 1-0. Mike went 2-0 to Newport. We had Notts County and Salford. We went 2-1 to Notts County. And Phil. Mike went 1-0 to Notts County. Bromley and Barnet, we were 1-0, and Mike was on his left. 1-0. Gillingham and Walsall. Warren went for a 2-0 loss to us, and Mike went for a 1-0 win.
That's an assist for me.
Harrogate for Grimsby went for 2-0 to Grimsby, and Mike went 2-1 to Grimsby. Swindon, we went 2-1 Swindon, and Mike went 2-1 Swindon. Don't know where Ollie's gone. I can't do it right now. So the actual results were Crawley Newport was 2-1 Newport. Notts County lost 2-1 to Salford. Bromley won 2-1 to Barnet. 2-0 to Barnet. Gillingham won 1-0, of course. And it was 3-0 between Harrogate and Grimsby. And Swindon was 3-2 against Cambridge. So we go on to this week's results. So obviously we lost this week and Mike won, surprisingly. So the overall for the season so far after match game 2 is 15 to us and 11 to the guest. So you've just joined us back right in time, Ollie.
Yeah, apologies.
We're going to go on for your predictions now. So we've gone. We've gone 2-1 to Chesterfield against Bristol Rovers, and Ollie's gone 2-1. Barnet Walsall, we've gone 3-0 Walsall, and Ollie's gone 1-0. Grimsby Newport, we've gone 2-2, and Ollie's gone for 2-1 to Grimsby. Milton Keynes, MK Dons, and Cheltenham, we've gone 2-0. Ollie's gone 3-0. Shrewsbury Colchester, Ollie's gone 2-1 to Colchester, and we've gone 2-1 to Colchester. And then Tranmere Gills, it's 1-1 apiece. So, Ollie, any reason why, or just a hunch?
Yeah, well, I tried to find out exactly what you guys had done. Now, great minds think alike with most of them. I'm not a betting man really, but I do study the EFL quite a bit because of the content I make. The only real difference I would say we have is our Barnet and Walsall game. I thought Walsall was so bad at the weekend, and I do think that we nullified them, and it's our style of play. But I think Barnet are going to have reaction at home, and that will be a 1-1. We got Colchester, Shrewsbury the same. I think Shrewsbury are terrible. And obviously I've got Grimsby to beat Newport, who have been really surprising so far.
There we go. There we go. So we will find out the results, obviously, at the end of next weekend. A look ahead quickly. So I'll go with Warren on this one. Are you there tomorrow night for the Carabao Cup game against Gills and AFC Wimbledon, mate?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm going.
Warren, you going yet? Phil?
Support your
I'll be in
Support
the
your
cinema
club.
tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm not overly enamoured by the Carabao Cup. I'd rather us focus on the league. So we will quickly touch on next weekend and look ahead there. So Ollie, obviously, it's early in the season. They've just beat Shrewsbury. What was it, 4-1?
Mhm.
Do you think that we can get a result out of that, or as you said before, 1-1? So what would your reasons behind the draw be necessarily?
Gareth Ainsworth sides are always in games, and I think Gills have shown that over the past 11 to 14. On that note, though, I predicted Tranmere to finish 4th, and bearing in mind the terrible season they had last season, I do think they look really good. That Amari Patrick, I think, is going to cause Hutton big problems. But I think the nature of Gareth Ainsworth means we're always in with a chance. We're solid, aren't we?
Yeah, Warren, your thoughts on that game and the reasons behind them?
It's probably one of my most hated away games, to be honest. I've never seen us do well there. It's a horrible place to get to by train. It's just not a great away trip. We never win there, or hardly ever win there. I think if you look over the record of the two teams over the past 50 years, we don't come out of it very well. And I'm a great believer that there's some grounds that you do well at, there's some grounds you don't, and I think this is just one ground that we don't. I think it'll be a 1-0 to Tranmere.
Fair. And Phil, yourself?
2-year project. That's all I can say. We'll go and have a nice day out.
There we go. Right, so we are at the end of the show, boys. So obviously we are sponsored and partnered by Snotto's Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wiki Creative, in partnership with Gillingham FC supporters, GFCFC, Her Game 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network. We will be uploading that onto there. Don't know why that matters to you guys if you're watching it here, but yeah, we will. So please do give us a subscribe on the View from the Medway. Give us a follow and a share on the View from the Medway Fancast and the View from the Medway Fancast or TVFTM on X. So before we go, boys, any housekeeping? I'll start with you, Ollie, and you have a couple of seconds to plug, mate.
Yeah, so I'm Ollie, Weeks Football Finds. I sell football shirts behind all my Gills collection. That's my business. And then I make EFL content on TikTok is my big page, as well as matchday vlogs for Gills.
There you go. And Warren, any housekeeping?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the fact when you mentioned about Gills in the Blood earlier, when I mentioned Fancast. I didn't mention anything about Gills in the Blood. I said it was a good thing that there was more Fancast, there was more content, and there's more Gillingham Football Club stuff getting out there. And it was meant to be a positive, and I think it made it sound like negative. But I just wanted to
No. I wasn't trying to make it sound like a negative, but it was more a positive that he's been through a lot, like the hard times, and done things before Brad and Shannon came in. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't a negative. It was just a praise. Phil, any housekeeping before we jump off?
Yeah, I just think it's worth mentioning that there is a new little YouTuber out there. I've forgotten his name now, but he's a little 7-year-old, I think he is. Absolutely brilliant, his first little video. So I really do encourage you to look out for him and give him a like and follow. Gills TV with Josh. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, and he did our intro this evening as well, bless him. And yeah, really liked his first video with if you had a superpower, what would you have with the players? I think that was absolutely brilliant of him, bless him. So yeah, anything else, Warren?
No, I'm good, mate.
Ollie,
No, all good.
Phil.
Not, I'll
Right,
see you on
so-
Saturday.
Yeah.
Other than
So I've
thank
been Chris.
you. What I meant to say.
He's been Phil. He's been Ollie. He's been Warren. Good night and up the Jills.